Okay, so we're streaming. I just need to start recording and share my screen, okay?
Okay.
You see the agenda now?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much. Well, I'm going to call the meeting of Town Council to order. And as our usual, we will begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the traditional unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. So the first agenda item is a presentation from our library chief, Denise Corey. So I will turn the floor over to you, and I'll ask people to mute. It makes the listening a little easier, and hands up for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship, and council and members of staff for inviting me to Zoom with you tonight. This is a new fun way to do council meetings, I'm sure. I understand that your budget for this year has already been set, so this is more of an informational item than it is anything else. And I wanted to address some things. I watched council on March 16th. I watch council fairly often, and there were just a few items about library funding that I thought were maybe misunderstood. So I thought if I could speak to council and just make sure that everybody understood how the funding worked, and to also speak to council and tell you what we're doing for the citizens of Amherst during this time, this terrible time. Anyway, so I'll start first with a quick reminder on public libraries in Nova Scotia, how they're funded and governed. There are 9 library regions. Each region is governed by its own board. The 8 regions outside of Halifax are funded approximately 71% by the provincial government, 26% by the municipal units, and we are required to raise 3% of our operating budget each year. In Cumberland, we have 7 locations, although the Oxford branch is currently in transition. And of course, right now, all of our locations are closed to the public. Amherst is our largest location, both in the size of the building and in the amount of people it serves. And you can see, and I know that I've talked about our collection before, and I will talk about it a million times. I like to tell people what we offer. We're not just books, although books are very important. We have movies, television shows, magazines, radon meters, pedometers, jigsaw puzzles, and other things that I could take up all your time talking about. We also offer a number of free digital resources, and these we have increased since the library had to close. So you'll see Hoopla is listed there. It's a new service that we purchased on April 13th. It has downloadable audiobooks, ebooks, movies, music, and TV shows. Overdrive is downloadable audiobooks and ebooks, and RB Digital is downloadable magazines. So we've added some of those things in an effort to be able to still reach citizens while we're closed. Our programs are extremely popular. We're trying to figure out how to run programs over the summer when it seems very likely that a lot of social distancing measures will still be in place. We were on track to have about 300 kids come through the door for March break based on our signups. Unfortunately, we closed just before March break started, so fortunately we closed, because I mean, it would have just been a lot of people coming through the door. I just want to tell you a little bit about how we did last year. So our fiscal year ended on March 31st, and these are our numbers for the last year. We loaned out over 110,000 items. Over 44,000 of those were loaned out from the Amherst location. We have over 7,000 active users, and an active user is somebody who doesn't just have a library card sitting in their wallet, but has a library card that they've used within the last 3 years. And of those active users, 3,900 count Amherst as their home location. Last year, we had over 6,300 people attend programs just here at the Amherst branch. That doesn't include the whole rest of the county. Our public computers in Amherst were used for over 8,700 hours. Our Wi-Fi was used for over 28,000 hours. That is not a typo. We had over 28,000 hours of Wi-Fi use last year. We have kept our Wi-Fi on for this whole time. So sometimes you'll see cars parked in the parking lot so that people can still get access to internet if they don't have it at home. Our branch was open just over 2,200 hours, and that's the kind of usage that we were receiving. And we had over 57,000 visits to the Amherst branch. Okay, so now let's talk about funding. I do realize that there's been some sort of issue with how the government of Nova Scotia have notified you about the funding changes, and you know, I'm not part of the, I don't work for the government of Nova Scotia. I'm not sure what they have going on or why they can't get this notice to you appropriately. But I do want to let you know that this is more about the services that we provide to your citizens than it is, you know, an argument between how the province is trying to get this funding formula into place. We're here to offer service to the citizens of Amherst, to the citizens of Cumberland County. We need funding in order to offer those services. We need funding in order to maintain the services that we had. And we also need funding to be able to pay our staff a living wage. I feel like our staff here are underpaid. The funding formula, and this slide would look familiar to those of you who are at the joint council meeting. It's the same one that I'd used. There was a committee made up of librarians, members of municipal councils, and Nova Scotia government employees, and they came up with this funding formula, and they were trying to come up with a formula that was fair for all library regions. Up until this point, our funding was based entirely on population, and as you know, with a lot of rural areas, population tends to go down. The population in Cumberland County has been relatively steady, but it has had a slight decline over the last few years. And so this is their way of solving that. So some of this is per capita and some of it is fixed funding. And that's and then we get the total amount at the bottom. If you go to the next slide, I know that there was some question about what a librarian makes in Cumberland County versus what a librarian makes in another part of the province. In this funding formula, these salary numbers aren't supposed to be prescriptive. They're supposed to be suggestions. So what they're saying is these jobs should exist in every library region. And this is kind of an average salary as per what that committee came up with. Do I make $92,000? No, I did not give myself a raise to $92,000. That is not happening. What I plan to do with this salary money is pay our staff more. So give everybody a cost of living increase and to hire additional staff. According to this formula, we're supposed to have the equivalent of 20 full-time people, and we currently have 15. There was also, I know, a question about the oversight of our budget, and you know, that the money comes from the town and the provincial government, and it goes to the library, and then there's no oversight. I just wanted to point out that there are currently 2 representatives from the town of Amherst on the library board. There's Councillor Mackenzie and there's Ms. Joan Beswick. Ms. Beswick is a citizen that was appointed by council. We also provide the town with our audited statement every year. And I'm happy to send our monthly, I send a monthly financial report to our board members. I'm happy to include the town in that if they want to see. I believe in transparency with our spending. I'm happy to let people know where we spend the money. I think that we provide excellent value for cost. If you could go to the next slide, please. And I just wanted to show you provincial and municipal funding over the last 10 years. And I know that these numbers are small. I was trying to fit a lot of information onto one sheet. So if you look, you will see that we have, we last received an increase from the town of Amherst in the year 2012. And our funding from Amherst has been steady since that time. And I know that there was some sticker shock when the provincial government indicated what the new payment would be. That I feel is because there wasn't small incremental increases. It's a big jump all at once. But as funding is based on the municipalities paying a portion of what the provincial government pays, and as the provincial government has increased their contribution, that's how the municipal funding contribution became increased. I wanted to remind you too that in addition to providing operating funds to the library, the municipality is responsible for the building in which we operate, both providing the building and its upkeep and maintenance, and other things like snow removal and grounds cleaning, and for providing furniture to the library. The upstairs part of the library, where it is the headquarters, the municipality does not provide that. The Cumberland Public Libraries pays to rent that area. So pre-COVID, my plan was to take the additional funding and make sure that we had 20 people, well, the 20 full-time equivalents on staff, to offer more hours at our branches, to offer more programs, especially to seniors and vulnerable populations, reaching out to people, do more after-school programming, purchase more library materials, both digital and in paper copy, and to give ongoing and consistent technology help and provide more access to technology so people could try it out. So that's changed a little bit because, as you all know, the world has changed in the last few months. So if the next slide is what we're doing right now. So we, after we were closed, we increased our digital resources. So I'd already mentioned that we purchased Hoopla. So that's audiobooks, ebooks, movies, TV shows, and music, downloadable, absolutely free with a library card. We increased our audiobooks and ebooks on Overdrive too, so that there's more resources. We're emphasizing on offering more online programs. We're trying to, we're working through ways that we can offer a summer reading club this summer without having the component of kids coming in the library. We have been doing story hours and some crafts and sing-alongs on our Facebook page, and we do plan on doing more of that this summer. We started towards the end of April offering Borrow by Mail for all citizens. So before, Borrow by Mail was specifically for people who couldn't come into the library, perhaps because they had a disability or they lived too far away. Now we are offering Borrow by Mail to everyone. If you want a library book, if you want a DVD, if you want a jigsaw puzzle, we will mail that to your house. And I have stats for that for a 3-week basis. In a 3-week period, we mailed out over 500 items. And many of those were going to citizens in Amherst. So that's why, and you're hearing it here first, starting next Monday, we are going to be offering curbside pickup at the Amherst location. It will be contactless curbside pickup where people can book a time and we will have their items checked out to them and outside on a table. We have vetted this. We're using the South Shore Public Library's curbside pickup plan, which has been vetted by Dr. Strang's office. So we're making sure that we're doing things in the safest way possible. The next thing will be looking at reopening plans and all that that entails, which will involve, obviously, we're going to have some barriers up, some social distancing measures, reducing the number of people who can come in. So that's all planned moving forward so that we can continue to offer services to the people of Amherst and the whole county. And that was it. I was trying to keep it fast. So I'm happy to take any questions that anyone might have.
Well, thank you very much for that presentation. And I'll ask if you have questions to raise your hand on the chat or on the participant screen. Councillor Reinders, do you have anything to ask of Denise?
No, she did a good job.
Good.
Explain it.
All right. Yeah, no, it was very thorough and very clear. I don't see any questions, so thank you so much for your presentation, and thank you for all the good work you're doing that the library is doing. We appreciate it.
And if you guys want some library materials, we'll mail it to you, or you can book a time to pick it up outside of the library. Now is a good time to get some reading done.
You're right. All right. Well, thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you.
Now I have to figure out how to leave. That is, thank you.
All right. Thanks very much. The agenda has been circulated. Has anyone anything they need to add to the current agenda? Then I will ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Byrne.
Byrne, seconding.
McKenzie.
Mackenzie, thank you very much. Are there any nays, any objections? Thank you. We'll move on to approval of minutes. We had a regular council meeting on April the 27th. Has anyone detected any errors or omissions in those minutes? If not, I will seek a motion to approve those minutes.
Counselor Jones.
Councillor Jones, seconding.
Second. Councillor Reinders.
Reinders. Councillor Reinders, thank you very much. We had a special council meeting, or sorry, any objections to the approval of those minutes? Thank you. We had a special council meeting on May 19th, and those minutes were sent out. Any errors or omissions detected in those minutes? If not, I will seek a motion to approve those minutes, please.
So moved.
I'll second.
All right, thank you. No objections. Thank you very much. So that takes us now to request for decision. And the first item is the use of permanent register of electors. And that would be, if I may, Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, council, staff, and the general public. You see it on your screen here. The use of the permanent register of electors. The town of Amherst has not conducted an enumeration for over 20 years. Enumerations are expensive, labor intensive, and research has shown that with electronic database such as through the federal and provincial departments. Lists can be maintained faster and more efficiently. Since at least 1997, we have procured a permanent voting list from Election Canada. It is provided in a format that is easy to use and adapt to our voting districts. Staff has used this permanent list for all town elections since 1997. The CAO, on behalf of the town, entered into a share agreement with Election Canada. In exchange for the use of the permit list, the returning officer agreed to return a revised update list to Election Canada following the October municipality election. The motion reads that council approve the use of the permit list of electors for the upcoming municipality election and authorize the chief administrator officer to enter into agreement with Election Canada to obtain said list. So move.
Thank you. A seconder for that?
Second.
Councilor Reinders, thank you very much. Are there any questions or further discussion on this motion? Hearing none, I will ask for nay votes. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. I will ask if we indulge Mr. Harrott for a moment to make a few comments before we get into our budget motions. Mr. Harrott.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just want to make a few comments ahead of the series of budget motions and just to kind of set up the budget a little bit. Together with Shelley and Sarah, I'm pleased to present the town's operating and capital budgets for this fiscal year. And I would like to first congratulate our senior management team and staff led by Shelley Rector and Sarah Wilson for the great work they've done in getting us to this point in what are just extremely unfamiliar circumstances. I too want to thank you, Mayor Cogan, and Council for your support and patience as we work through the budget process completely virtually. It's hard to imagine. It's hard to imagine a few months ago that we would work through a process like this, never having been in the same room together. In addition, this year we've had to consider the impact of COVID-19 on the budget due to lost revenue and anticipated higher outstanding accounts receivable. So the budget has been structured such that the town can be responsive to things such that things with things that change with COVID-19 while maintaining current tax rates. I think it's also important to note that while this budget represents estimates based on the best information that we have right now to date, if we've learned anything through these last few months, it's that some events simply aren't predictable with any degree of accuracy. And so we do expect that there will be variations from this budget. Perhaps some of them will be significant. And we'll all have to be diligent and do our best to manage the budget as we go forward through this year. Just a few of the highlights. The overall combined tax rate is proposed to stay the same. The tax exemption policy is being proposed to be amended to allow for housekeeping changes and to add one new applicant to Cumberland County Transition House property at 44 Park Street. There is an increase, which is cause for celebration, good news, an increase to commercial assessed values and thus to commercial tax revenue. But it's almost totally attributable to expansions and additions to assessment that have taken place through the commercial phased-in assessment bylaw, P19. It's the phase-in bylaw. You'll recall that council passed it last year, and it really has worked. It has spurred development. It has spurred expansion, particularly in the industrial parks. So I want to thank council for that, and we're seeing the fruits of our labors in these increases. And I want to thank Andrew Fisher for the work and Shelley Rector for the work that they've done on that bylaw and with those companies. It's very encouraging to see businesses taking advantage of the bylaw. We'll see that although it's a revenue increase, it's almost wholly offset by the the reduction in tax due to the phasing in. But as we go forward through these 10 years, each year that expense that we incur for the phasing in will drop off, and we'll still have the additional tax revenue. So it's a long game, but it's a positive one. This fall, as you all know, at this point, all municipalities in Nova Scotia will be going through an election. The budget this year includes costs for the election as well as technology for the new council once they're sworn in. These costs are being funded 100% from the operating reserve, and they don't impact the tax rate. They're in the nature of $60,000 to $70,000 in total. The budget also includes money to fund the town's climate action plan, including funds for an on-site energy manager, although this is on hold for the present time due to the uncertainty that we have. We have built an allowance into the budget for that, and solar for community projects in the capital budget. As we speak this week, installations preparations for installations have begun at the Amherst Stadium, and we also have approval for solar installations at the Amherst Fire Hall and the Amherst Police Department, and those will be worked through this budget year. So in spite of the challenges that the town is facing due to COVID-19, I do feel optimistic about the next year for the town. This budget allows, as recommended, allows the town to complete necessary infrastructure projects while maintaining tax rates. It's critically important that we continue to invest in infrastructure to be able to provide support for business, support for residential growth. And so we're fortunate to be able to continue to deliver the level of services provided while not increasing tax rates and dealing with the impact and uncertainty caused by COVID-19. Cash flow does remain a significant uncertainty, and we hope that the property tax financing program and the province's municipal operating loan program, it now has a name and it has an acronym, the MOLP. We hope that these two things acting together will provide the necessary assistance to help both our impacted taxpayers and the town to get through these next few months and perhaps years without significant long-term impacts. So with that, Your Worship, thank you for indulging me for a few moments, and I'll hand it back to you. Thanks.
Thank you very much. That gives everybody, both council and those listening in, a very, very good perspective on the work that's being done. And I thank you for all the efforts of the staff and yourself for doing that. The next item on the agenda I have on mine, Ms. Jones, is the setting of the general tax rate. But you've put up the synopsis for the next item. I'm happy to switch the order. It doesn't seem to matter too much from our perspective. We'll be doing both.
We
So-
issued a revised agenda page about 2 o'clock, Your Worship, and
Oh, maybe
Not knowing where
maybe
you
I'm
were,
using the old one.
I slipped it under the door of your office.
Oh, well, sorry, I missed it then. All right, I'll follow along with you. So the tax financing program policy, I will call upon Councillor McKenzie, please, for presenting this motion.
Sounds good, thank you. The synopsis is up on the board there. Tax financing policy, program policy. Many property owners have been financially impacted by COVID-19. Some residential taxpayers have been laid off from their jobs. A number of commercial property owners have been ordered due to the state of emergency to close their business, or because sales have been significant impact, they have made the business decision to close. The town of Amherst recognized this. Nova Scotia Federal of Municipalities, NSFM, and the Associate of Municipal Administrators, AMA, have developed a modern property tax financing policy for municipalities. We consider to provide some extra time at a very low interest rate. We're qualifying impact taxpayers to pay these municipal taxes. In general terms, the proposed policy allows qualified taxpayers the opportunity to pay their 2020-21 taxes over 24 months at an interest rate of 1.35%. It is important to note that the programs is only for those who have been impacted and meet the established criteria. Residential taxpayers will be required to establish that they have been impacted by providing documentation, establishing that they have either been laid off due to COVID-19 or in a receipt from Canada Emergency Response Benefits. Commercial taxpayers who assess at 2 million and under or are operating under tourism operation will be required to establish financial hardships due to COVID-19 by submitting relevant sales data. Should this proposal policy be adopted, further details will be available in the coming weeks on how and where to apply to access to the program. My motion is that council approve the proposed COVID-19 property tax financing financial program policy. Thank you.
Thank you. Seconder, please.
I'll
So
second.
move.
Deputy Mayor Christie, I heard first. Thank you very much. Are there We'll get to you again, Councillor Jones, not to worry. Are there any questions or further discussion on this motion, please?
Yes, I'd like to make a move. I think it's a great policy to come out with an NSFM and the provincial government. It gives them an opportunity, a low rate, and I think it's great for the people that need it, for the town of Amherst.
Very well put, Councillor Reinders. Thank you. Anything else? All right, then. I will put this to
The deputy,
our Deputy Mayor Christie.
Yeah, sorry, I had my hand up there. I just wanted
Oh,
to
sorry.
say that, no, that's fine. I just wanted to say that this is in direct response to many individuals and business owners in the town of Amherst that have been asking for something like this. So very pleased that Mr. Harrod and other members throughout the province have been able to work with the AMA and SFM on this, that it's very needed in this time. And I think it's a fabulous program. And I hope that those are able to qualify do take advantage of it.
So true. Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor.
Your worship, just another thing.
Yes,
I know it'll probably be on our website because it's June's coming up fast, and it's to the end of June, I understand, in the policy. So the people better somehow should have a number or somewhere to get a hold of them. Some people don't have computers, so I just thought I'd throw that in. Could they call Maria at the town hall?
Mr. Harrod, you have a comment for that? I assume they could.
I do, Your Worship. Until council, we've been through a few iterations, a few versions of this policy. And so until council finally gives it the stamp of approval, which we hope will happen in a few moments here, we really couldn't do any sort of promotion on it in its final form. And so we intend to do that over the next few days. We hope to have an application process. It certainly won't be ready for this week. We hope for next week. There is an effort. I have a meeting actually tomorrow morning with some of my colleagues from around the province to discuss an application portal that people will be able to apply online on their cell phones, on their computers, on their iPads, on their tablets. We will make some provision for call-in applications to get a paper application, but we're hoping that most will be online in these days of not very many face-to-face meetings. Having said that, we'll certainly do our best, and we'll try to make sure that no one who qualifies for the program and is interested in applying is left behind. There will be fully, a month for folks to apply. The closing is on June 30th, and we won't really have application details until next week at the earliest. So we'll do our very best to make those details as widely publicized as we possibly can.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Any further discussion? All right, then I will put this to a vote, and I once again will seek nay votes. Hearing none, the motion carries unanimously. Thank you. So the next item on our agenda will be the setting of the general tax rate. And I would like to call upon Councillor Byrne to present this to us, please.
Thank you, Your Worship.
The synopsis is on the screen for those of you following from the general public. It's the 2020-2021 general tax rate. The general tax rate provides funding for general operations for the town, including police, fire, transportation, public works, economic development, planning, strategic priorities, environmental stewardship, recreation, and corporate services. Whereas the total estimated expenditures to be rated for the fiscal period April 1, 2020 to March 31st, 2021 are $14,045,827. The motion before council, therefore it be resolved that for the town of Amherst for the fiscal period ending March 31st, 2021, the general tax rates are as follows. Residential / resource, $1.187 per $100 of assessment. Commercial, $3.987 per $100 of assessment. And that these taxes are due and payable on September 30th, 2020, with interest to be charged on all final tax accounts outstanding on or after October the 1st, 2020, at the rate of 1% per month, 12% per annum. So moved.
Thank you very much. Seconder for the motion, please.
I'll second.
Deputy Mayor Christie, thank you very much. Are there any questions or further discussion? It's been stated several times, but I think it bears one final statement. All should be aware that these rates have not increased. These are the exact same general rates that we used last year, and it should be very clear that that's the case. So if there's no further discussion, I will put this to a vote. And again, nay vote, please. Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. So next on our agenda is the community support area rate. And I will ask Deputy Mayor Christie, please, to present this.
Okay, the 2020-21 community support area rate provides funding for services that, in the opinion of council, provide support to the community. This rate includes grants to organizations, grant to the YMCA, tax exemption and tax reduction policies, larger community events like Canada Day, Winter Carnival, parades, New Year's, other events like Victoria Square Music. Whereas the estimated expenditures of the community support for the 2020-21 fiscal period are $378,575, net of own source funding in the amount of $93,769. Therefore, the motion is, therefore be it resolved that for the town of Amherst for the fiscal ending March 31st, 2021, the community support area rate on all property assessments within the boundary of town of Amherst are as follows. Residential or resource, 0.071 per 100 of assessment. Commercial, 0.071 per 100 of assessment. And that these area rates are due and payable on September 30th, 2020, with interest to be charged on all final tax accounts outstanding on or after October 1st, 2020 at the rate of 1% per month or 12% per annum.
Thank you. A seconder for this motion, please. Councillor Jones?
I'll second it.
Councillor Byrne. All right. Thank you very much. Any questions or further discussion on this motion? If not, then I'll put this to a vote. I'll seek nay votes. Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is capital budget carryovers. And that's Deputy Mayor Christie again, please.
So the synopsis is capital budget carryovers. When council approved the capital budget a few years ago, it was noted that a few of the 2019-20 projects that would require a carryover into the 21-20,000 fiscal year due to not being completed by the fiscal year end. These projects were previously approved by council, and this motion simply authorizes that the spending authority be carried over into this current fiscal year. A list of these carryover projects is attached for council's reference. Therefore, the motion is that council approve the inclusion of carry forward projects to the town of Amherst general capital budget and the water utility capital budget for the 2020-21 fiscal year. Adding the carry forward project sets the overall general capital budget at $3,505,883, including $1,354,932 for projects carried over, and the water utility capital budget for the 2021 fiscal year in the amount of $713,000, including $40,000 of carryovers.
Thank you. Seconding, anyone, please?
So move, Counselor Jones.
Councillor Jones, thank you very much. Any questions or further discussion on this motion? I see a hand up from Ms. Rector.
Yes, Your Worship. I just wanted to note that the original agenda package has the amount for the water utility capital budget showing at 713 instead of a 753, just so people are aware if they're seeing that online.
Sorry, which is the correct one?
The 753 that you see on the screen is the
Oh,
correct one.
is correct. All
The
right, thank you very
carryover
much.
amount didn't get included in the original.
Okay,
Would you like me to reread that? Because I had the old one on my screen as well.
You said the 753.
Okay, thank you.
all right, long as we're clear. Thank you very much. If there's nothing further, I will put this to a vote. And again, I will seek nay votes, please. Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. The next item on our agenda is the user fee policy. I would ask if Councillor Reinders could present that to us, please.
Yes, thank you, Worship. The synopsis up on the board, user fee policy. The annual review of user policy indicates that council is to review user fees annual for the approaching and revise necessary. If required during the budget proceeds, the policy outlines the user fees to be charged for the next fiscal year for various service and products. The user fee policy has been changed regarding the following. 1. Removal of yearly and monthly parking space rental. 2. The ice time at the stadium excuse me. The ice time at the stadium has been changed to calendar format Monday to Sunday and holidays, and inclusions in an early time rate. In addition, clearly, there has been an addition who qualifies for the youth time rates. 3. Additional of the daily half-time rental space for the Community Credit Union Business Information Center, referred to as the Hub. Motion that council approve the request to have the user fee policy number 3470-03, updated to reflect the changes noted above and highlighted in the attached red line version. I so move.
Thank you very much.
Counselor
Seconding,
Jones, second it.
Councillor Jones,
Counselor
thank you very sorry? I missed that. All right, thank you, Councillor Jones. All right, are there any questions or further discussion on this motion? If not, I will put it to the vote, and again, nay votes, please. Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. And next, we have the modification to the tax exemption policy, and I'd ask Councillor Byrne, please, to present this.
Thank you, Your Worship. The synopsis is on the screen for those following. The tax exemption policy's purpose is to provide relief of current taxes for properties of qualifying registered Canadian charitable organizations and/or nonprofit organizations as defined within the policy. The tax exemption policy has been changed regarding the following. Addition to Appendix A for the Cumberland County Transition House property at 44 Park Street, assessment account number 03533654, charitable number 106995624. 2, housekeeping changes to the policy, including the removal of an unused appendix clarification adding to clarification added to Appendix A and B, and removal of the two right-hand columns in the appendices charts. The motion before council is that council approve the request to have the tax exemption policy number 3800-5, updated to the attached version. So moved.
Thank you very much. Who will second that?
Second.
Is that Councilor Reinders? Thank you very
Yes.
much. Thank you. Any questions or further discussion on that motion? Then I will put it to the vote. Are there any nay votes? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Thank you very, very much.
Your worship.
Yes, Mr. Harrod.
Thank you. Sorry for the interruption. I just wanted to point out that hopefully tomorrow we'll have a 24-page summary of the budget that's been approved here this afternoon, with the rates and lots of details on departmental expenditures and expenditures by category, tax rates. Really well put together document, and congratulations to Sarah and Shelley for putting it together, but folks can look for that. It's a really nice summary of the budget. So thank you, Your Worship.
Oh, thank you very much. Good to have it put out that way. All right, then we can move along here to internal committee reports. And the first report will be Planning Advisory. Was that Councilor Reinders going to present that one?
Yep.
Go
All
ahead,
set.
please.
Yep, thank you. Your worship, members of council, it's up on the board for the people watching. Planning Advisory Committee met. The Planning Advisory Committee met on May the 4th, 2020. A motion was passed in order to the building at 1 Park Street, Amherst, Nova Scotia, to be demolished, completed, with the foundation backfilled by June 3rd, 2020. The committee also elected a new chair and a new vice chair for 2020 fiscal year. Ron Wilson was appointed the position chair, and Gordon Goon was appointed the vice chair. That's the report.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions of Councilor Reinders on PAC? No? All right. Well, thank you very, very much. The next report we have is from Amherst Board of Police Commissioners, and I'm not sure who's that. Councilor Byrne?
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, Your Worship. The Amherst Board of Police Commissioners report for May 20th. It's on the screen. The Amherst Board of Police Commissioners met on May 7th, 2020 at 3 p.m. via a virtual Zoom meeting. Items on the agenda included the election of chair and vice chair, a COVID-19 update, as well as the chief's report. The commission also reviewed the Amherst Police Department 2020-2021 budget and passed a motion recommending it be forwarded to the council for approval. The next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, June 10th at 3 p.m. That is the report.
Thank you. Any questions for Councilor Byrne? Can you tell us who was elected chair and vice chair?
Yes, the chair is Mr. Paul Collar, and I believe the vice chair is Sandy.
Fairbanks.
Thank
Sandy
you.
Fairbanks?
Yes.
Okay,
That is
thank
correct.
you. Excellent. All right. Any other questions for Councilor Byrne?
Your Worship.
Mr. Harrod?
I just wanted to say that you're watching the Police Commission on Zoom, and Vice Chairman Fairbanks upside down is one of the enduring moments of the Zoom era that we'll probably never ever forget.
It was very funny.
Very,
All
very
in good fun.
Very good.
Thank you, Sandy.
All right. Well, one of many impacts that we're seeing with COVID-19 is that there seem to be a lot fewer committee meetings of late. Hopefully, as people catch on to the technology, there will be more, but there are no other internal committee reports and there are no external committee reports. It brings us to the end of that. And that really then concludes our agenda. And given that, Deputy Mayor, you have your hand up.
I just wanted to say, seems that there seems to be a little bit of timing issue with some of the committee reports and getting the electronic and Zoom meetings going. There is a YMCA meeting coming up this week, and they'll be talking about having their annual general meeting, as well as some budget projections and when things can reopen again. So I'll keep council appraised of that once we have that. And then there's a poverty meeting scheduled for June the 2nd. So those two things will come up, and we'll get the information out to council as those happen.
Well, thank you. I mean, I had no doubt that they would catch up and they would come to us. So there we go. All right. Well,
Your
sorry,
worship,
Reinders, go ahead.
yeah, CJSM is going to meet tomorrow night on Zoom, just so you know, they're getting organized, so.
Excellent. No, we know those committees are trying to do their job best they can.
Yep.
And all their work is appreciated. So there being nothing further, I would seek a motion to adjourn.
So move.
So move.
Thank you very much. Hearing no objections, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for your participation.
Oh, your mayor, Mr. Howard had his hand up.
I was just, thank you, Councillor Byrne, for taking care of me. I was just kind of waving goodbye.
Oh,
Not to you in particular, of course, but anyway, it's all good. Thank you.
All right.
all
All
right.
right. All right. Well, everybody have a good evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night.